What you got?
How you doing?
Good. You guys?
Coach, we've been talking all week about the threat of Chucky Keaton, and I was wondering, just is he the kind of guy that requires a spy just because of what he can do when a play breaks down?
You know, it's really hard to create a whole defense to put just a spy in. Do we have some stuff that we pay attention to a quarterback a little bit more? Yes. But you got to run your defense. I mean, they got a power run game. They got a spread offense. They launch it down the field. And so just to have a spy there, you got to pick and choose your spots. But anytime you got a guy that can run the ball, and dual threat guys, I mean, it's really hard. I mean, you can do a great job of covering guys downfield, and then there he goes running, first down. Everybody forgets that, you know, it actually is pretty good except for that. And so he brings another element to the table.
Do you feel like there may be some linebackers, either some of the new guys or maybe some guys that have been here a while, that could be suited for maybe a position that could handle that, whether it would be him or another quarterback down the road?
I mean, we'll find out. You know, we'll find out real soon. I mean, some of those, you know, again, the line does a good job. You know, we even get a good pass rush. Sometimes that's when it's the most problems, and then there he goes. There's just a lot of space. And, you know, we'll just have to kind of see how it goes and see if we do have some guys that can, you know, it all looks pretty good in practice. We'll have to see what happens, play the game.
What have you thought of your pass rush through the first two games?
You know, I think we're making progress. You know, I thought in the Boise game, you know, we got some pressure, but I thought Finley did a great job of stepping up and getting out of it. And so, you know, it's that thing where we got some pressure off the edges. He steps up, and there's some running lanes. And so it all has to work together. I mean, one guy gets some great rush and flushes him out, and the other guy's not where he needs to be. We got a problem.
Does that element maybe require more creativity from you guys this year, just given how good Howell Lee and Danny and those guys were, just bringing four?
I think the four have to work together. I mean, I think the guys coming off the edge got to squeeze the pocket, and I think the guys coming up the middle got to push the pocket. Now, that's easier said than done, but that's kind of always the idea of it.
Utah State's defense does some different things and some funky looks, I think, just from seeing their game last Friday night. How much of a challenge is that going to be for Jake? What is he going to see, and what is he going to have to be prepared for in that regard?
It starts with our O-line. I mean, that's who it starts with. And, you know, it's one thing to get your assignments right, and then it's another thing to actually block them when they're bringing all these different pressures. So you might have got your assignments right, and then a guy gets on edges. So it's really a double whammy. And we've seen this for a while, you know, going back with Utah State as coaches. And it is challenging. They do a great job of it. I mean, they bring pressures from all different angles. That's what they do. They show it from one side, bring it from another, and, you know, do all those type of things.
Is there anyone in the Pac-12 comparable in defense that you saw last year?
I'm trying to think from last year. You know, there's a couple teams that blitz a lot, but this, you know, the complements and styles are probably different.
Chris, I was wondering, yesterday Coach Smith talked about how you guys were maybe a little surprised that Boise didn't try to go after Jake a little bit more than maybe you anticipated because of, you know, first guy on the road, first year, and all that kind of stuff. Are these guys maybe a little bit more predictable in their aggressiveness and what they do?
Oh, if there's one thing that they are going to come after, that's what they do. Boise, that's, you know, they blitz you a little bit, but that's not really what they do. I mean, teams are who they are. You don't go 1 week and then all of a sudden we change our whole thing. So these guys are they're a disruptive pressure defense is what they are.
Is that going to be important for your tailbacks too, picking up blitzes and helping Jake out that way?
Very much so. I mean, they're all in together. It's the five linemen, and in the back is hugely involved as well.
Is there any one of those guys who stands out in that regard?
You know, I think they're all pretty good. And again, I'm kind of going from last year. You know, all these guys have been here last year except for Miles, and I think he's doing a good job learning. I mean, the big thing is you know, pass protection can be complicated. And, you know, at the running back position, the run game's not too complicated for them. You know, they got to have some natural vision, and there's some things we work on every day fundamentally. But where their real thinking comes in, and they have to be sharp guys, is the pass protection thing.
Any chance Buddha gets his hands on the ball at some point on offense? No, we're asking you about
I mean, there's always that chance. But again, you know, Buddha, again, has not even been on offense, and he's already played the most reps of anybody in our team. So here we go again. You know, he's so valuable with the other stuff, and we have other guys that can maybe do what he does. I know he'd probably like his hands on the ball, but again, I keep going back. It's a long season. He's already doing a ton for us.
How much has Tony Tupou meant to this team, not just on the field, but away, obviously, isn't it? team captain.
Yeah, I think anytime you mention anybody's the team captain, you already know there's gonna be a lot going on behind the scenes. And, you know, for a guy, that hasn't played a ton of snaps, I think that always just speaks volumes of the type of person and what his teammates think of him. You know, it's one thing for a guy that's your best player to be a team captain. You know, I think sometimes guys can get away with that, you know, and make it up for it on the field, but I think it really can mean a lot. I think the team captain thing means a lot any way you cut it, but, you know, certainly for a guy that hasn't gotten a ton of reps, hasn't been a marquee guy, I think it says a lot.
Chris, what's your take on the right tackle position right now and the battle between James and McGarry? And is it important that one of those guys really establish themselves?
I don't think it's important that. I hope we have two young guys that keep progressing and, you know, keep developing, and we have two good answers there. That's me as the head coach. You know, Coach Strauss might have a little bit of different opinion on that. I keep going back to I like to play a lot of guys, and you're going to need a lot of guys. So for me to just have one guy and say this guy's clearly the guy, you know, maybe that's good because he's playing at a high level, but I want them both playing at a high level, and I want both guys getting some time.
How does that affect maybe the continuity and the communication with, ideally, with a starting five?
I think it can a little bit. I think it may affect guys inside a little bit more, the centers and guards with all the fitting that they're doing every single play. Not that the guard and tackle don't fit, but, you know, I think if a guy knows what he's doing and plays it in a detailed fashion and manner, I think you can use multiple guys.
This is kind of out there, but Wall Street Journal had a story recently that quoted a bunch of NFL executives saying that this most recent quarterback draft class was as unprepared or uneducated in terms of basic defensive fronts and the questions that they asked them.
Yeah.
Seems like most college coaches say that quarterbacks coming out of high school are more prepared than ever to play in college. I'm wondering if you have a take on that, and if.
You know, I think one thing that's different, I think the college game and the pro game at the quarterback position are different. And, I mean, it just is. It's just, they huddle up, they take the ball from under center, which is different from, you know, I was at a camp, this was a year ago, and I was kind of helping out with the quarterbacks. I wasn't leading the drill. And one of the coaches had everybody taking a snap under that, and they were all doing it. And it just dawned on me, there was probably 15 quarterbacks in there, and I said, how many of you guys have ever taken a snap under center? Not one guy raised his hand. And so you start with that. The second thing I think is a huge thing is guys don't call plays anymore. You know, they say two words maybe to the O-line. So, and they call plays in the NFL. And so what I think that the college coaches have done, a lot of them, is they've simplified the game for that quarterback to play how it needs to be played in college. And it's a different game for the most part in the NFL in terms of how they're directing traffic and redirecting protections and all those type of things. And when the quarterback can sit there from morning, noon, and night all during the week and carry that burden, you know, that's what they're going to do. And so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But, you know, we've kind of always been a little bit different. You know, we put a lot on our quarterback, and he does call some plays, and sometimes he doesn't. But I can kind of see where they're coming from.
How much freedom does a guy like Jake have right now, considering he's preparing for his third game ever in college?
Well, there's certain things we're definitely checking, and certain times we help him out with that. But again, our limiting factor is not our quarterback on offense. It's really the group. You know, how much new stuff can the group handle from week to week? We know Jake's going to be pretty solid with most of it. I mean, he really is. He spends probably twice as much time or 3 times as much time than anybody else on the entire team, you know, studying things. And so that gives him, and he needs to, because it all is kind of driven through him on offense.